Welcome back, everyone, to the New York Giants franchise, where we just won a Super Bowl. 20-17, your final score over those New York Jets, and Declan Delaney, Colby Parson got custom prospects all over the place. That's what really drove this New York Jets football team to get from worst to first. If you guys want to be a part of the custom prospect draft class, go ahead and take a look at the Patreon link in the description below. And of course, the open submission form for drafting prospects here in this series. Of course, Patreon, there's a monthly subscription, and open submission is free of charge. All right, guys, take a look at some of the mock drafts that are coming out here. We're looking at mock draft number 3, so this is where the draft class is finally finalized. You got some players like Rico Dynamite. You can probably tell just by the names that just look a little bit funky, that don't look as the standard Madden naming of their prospects, like Frank Parker, Tommy Rudolph. Yeah, those are really creative there, EA, really creative. So we'll go over some prospects. We'll talk about those guys. We'll see like where they're looking to land. We'll take a look at their combines. We'll look at their pro days. Get a little better of an idea of where they might land here in this upcoming draft. But Matt Ryan is a retiree. Got some big names here as Kyle Long. We've got Tom Brady, of course, and retiring after 24 years. Andy Dalton. Yeah, Justin Houston, Cam Newton, Vinnie Curry, Devon Kennard, a former Giant, of course, and former Detroit Lion. Giovanni Bernard retires. Matt Barkley. Yeah. And then Bruce Arians is going to retire as well, so that's been tough. And if you guys saw it, Andy Reid's going to actually come into the NFC East. So he's coming into our division. He's now being hired as the Washington football team's head coach. So if there's any custom prospects out there that are playing offensively with Andy Reid now, you guys might be looking here pretty good. Might be looking pretty good. Of course, we still have a draft left to go too, so anything can happen. All right, let's talk about our contract renegotiations here. We got PJ Walker up on the board. I'm going to let him go. I think drafting another quarterback here in this draft will be good for us. Bryce Love, we've got Sarek Martin, we've got Saquon Barkley locked up for a long-term deal. We're not really going to focus on Bryce Love as a third-string running back. We might be able to draft another one. Yeah, maybe we can draft another one. Same thing here with wide receivers. We are loaded at wide receivers. I was actually really impressed with Colin Johnson in that very last game of the season. I want to sign him up again. I think he's going to be a nice little option for us, one of those red zone targets down near the goal line. We get Kadarius Toney some more action during the game, and now that Sterling Shepard is out of the picture, plus we got 2 goal line targets then with Galladay and Colin Johnson, 2 big targets down there at the red zone. Now, offensive line speaking, it's a tough call here because we got Ben Bredesen from Michigan, Will Hernandez, both right guards, similar rating. Obviously, they do 2 different things, right? Will Hernandez is obviously objectively better, got more strength, more well-balanced in the run and the pass than Bredesen is. And then you look at this and you think Shane Lemieux, I believe he played center and guard at one point for the Oregon Ducks. I remember when I was writing little articles for Draft Tech for the Detroit Lions mock drafts, I think Lemieux had played, if I remember things correctly, he played guard and center at points for Oregon. So it's been a question for me on what we want to do. Billy Price seems like he's kind of expensive there. $8 million for 2 years for a 73 offensive lineman, where you could get Ben Bredesen to play guard and drop Shane Lemieux at this point. That at least solves one of our guard spots. Like I can put Bredesen at left, I can put Hernandez at right, and then we can address center. We can address the center position here in free agency or the draft, because there's a couple guys that I like from the draft board and from free agency that I'm anticipating that there might be somebody there. Now, Matt Pert, he's been kind of an adventure over at right tackle. So you know what? We can actually move Roderick Flemings, a guy that we drafted last season at left tackle. So he's been behind Andrew Thomas this year. So we can move him over to right. Should be an easy translation. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh, left is different than right because of the footwork." We heard about that with Penei Sewell, and he did just fine. But again, he's Penei Sewell. Now, if you guys notice something at the defensive end spot, we're not bringing back Leonard Williams. So he's upwards of 30 years old now. He wants a 3-year contract, and we've got Romeo Reyes in the wings. So I think Romeo Reyes has proven to us that he's going to be an effective edge rusher. We can bring him back And Leonard Williams we can say goodbye to. That's a lot of money that we're saving for that. Now, Tay Crowder and Josie Jewell, it's hard to not bring back the Super Bowl MVP. Am I right? So we're going to bring him back. Nothing at the right outside linebacker spot. Now, cornerback is a huge position for us this draft and this free agency period because Adoree Jackson has been awful. I was hoping that Adoree was going to be able to slide right in and take over that James Bradberry role, and he's just not been able to get it done. Now, Yadam, I wanted to sign Yadam first to get us some depth, to get us some security there, so then we could make the decision easier to not bring back Adoree Jackson. But he ends up electing for free agency. Franchise tagging is worth $21.2 million this go around, so that's not going to happen. We're going to let go of Logan Ryan, bring back Xavier McKinney. Graham Gano, I want to bring him back. 92 kick power, 85 accuracy. Even though he's 37, I think it's going to be a good thing to bring him back. But no, he doesn't want to come back here, man. After a Super Bowl victory, he says he could take it easy, man. The offense is clicking. Maybe that's why he's not coming back. You know, not a lot of field goal opportunities for him. He feels like he's bored now. But at 37 years old, you can just kick back, like, no pun intended, but you can kick back, take it easy a little bit, man. Just let the offense work. You're getting paid millions of dollars just to sit on the sidelines, do nothing. But no, not going to happen. So, Adoree Jackson, though, we talked about him briefly. 84 overall player, he only for 1 year, and he's not going to want to come back. Now, Darnay Holmes is also going to do the same thing. And at this point, I decided to not bring him back. I decided to not bring Darnay Holmes back. So, interesting decision by me. I think we need to focus on this through free agency and through draft. Find some guys that might be a little bit cheaper. I felt like that was a lot of money for Darnay Holmes. He was a great player for us. He had a lot of turnover. He caused a lot of turnovers. He'd be deserving of a contract like that. And but not knowing how free agency is going to look, I just want to see how this is going to look. And I really didn't want to just be strapped to Darnay Holmes with that kind of contract if I didn't know what else the field looked like. So we're going to play the field a little bit. And maybe we might go after him again if the field is a little slim, right? But it looks like this is a pretty deep cornerback class. We've got Stephon Gilmore, Kenny Moore, we've got Jalen Johnson, Adoree Jackson sitting there as an 84. There he is. Marcus Peters, Darius Slay, CJ Henderson. So it's a very deep, Bryce Callahan. It's a deep cornerback class, and maybe it might have been more cost-effective to not bring Darnay Holmes back, despite his play on the field. We got Jeff Okudah here. Maybe he can turn it around. Now testing free agency. Maybe he can turn it around in Big Blue versus over there in Honolulu Blue. Isaiah Oliver is pretty interesting to me. He's got some good acceleration, good agility, speed at a 90, plus that man coverage and zone is well balanced. He's a nice little 78 guy, right? He's going to be our number 2 corner. Number 1 corner, actually, just plopping right into the roster, into that depth chart. He's going to be our number 1 guy. So it's obvious that we need a true number 1 guy, which is why we're going to go after Stephon Gilmore, and hopefully he signs. He's a 91. You know, again, we gave Adoree Jackson the opportunity to kind of fill in that James Bradberry role, and he just really didn't take to it too kindly. So he's naturally a number 2 corner, and I hope he finds a home elsewhere. But this is very interesting. Joe Burrow has been not re-signed. He didn't want to re-sign with Cincinnati, and now he's considering going to the intra-divisional rival Baltimore Ravens. So what is happening in Madden, man? What is happening in Madden? Either way, interesting storyline there. Kyle Allen, a number 2 quarterback for us here. I'm hoping that he signs with us. That'd be really nice to go get. Now, we did get Andrew Britt. He balled out in the very last game of the season. If you guys saw that video against the Seattle Seahawks, it was a fun game for sure. So he balled out. You know, he might be deserving of the number 2 in the backup quarterback spot, but I want a little more established quarterback behind Lamar in case things get sticky, in case, you know, Lamar goes down. We want a guy that's going to be able to step right in, a veteran presence there, and guide our team to the playoffs. Hopefully, Kyle Allen, I think we can go a little bit cheap and get that done. Now, wide receiver, you know, Kadarius Toney's going to take on a more of a bigger role this year. Got Slayton, Galladay, and Toney. That's going to be our trifecta at wide receiver. Plus, we got Colin Johnson, Paul Andrews. We don't necessarily need a wide receiver. We don't necessarily need one here through free agency. But as a spoiler, I will tell you guys that I did address the position in a very minor way, but a very effective way, I think. So we're going to be doing some shifting around here. This is just more visually appeasing to me, more visually pleasing to me. I like to see the depth chart make sense. And now I've got Hernandez, we've got Reyes there at right end, Lawrence at left. Okay, so that's good. Linebackers are fine. Like, I want to see what positions we need to attack. And offensive line, I think that we're set. I think we still need to figure out center. That's going to be a big one here for us, but we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But as far as kickers go, Evan McPherson made a name for himself in real life in the last couple of months with the Bengals. And why not? Why not bring a young kicker in here for the next few seasons? Plus, Johnny Hekker, again, going a little more expensive on the punter. RJ Dixon was decent, but I felt like we could get in better field position for our defense in gameplay and in simulation. But we are going to actually go after J.C. Tretter. So he's a longtime veteran in this league, 83 overall player. This is probably going to be our best offensive lineman, along with Andrew Thomas at an 81. So that's going to be huge for this team. We do like to run up the middle. A lot of halfback off tackle runs from the shotgun formation. Like to go left and right as well, but up the middle you gotta maintain that pressure isn't coming in there with incoming blitzers. So J.C. Tretter is going to be a good addition if we can get him. Now Andy Isabella, like I told you guys, a little spoiler, I did go after wide receiver just a little bit. And Andy Isabella is more that little gadgety type of player that I kind of like at wide receiver. Think of him more as a insurance policy to Kadarius Toney. In case Toney doesn't work out at the slot, I can kind of move Isabella up into that slot, and it should take care of itself. But you know what? You always got to be looking at insurance policies on your players. Now take a look at this guy. For Alejandro Reyes, a wide receiver here, a custom prospect, he is missing the combine due to an injury. Now, I've never heard of like a third round, round 4 type of projection guy making it into draft stories. That's interesting to me. So that catches my eye a little bit. So I want to follow this guy around and see if we can nab him here a little bit late and maybe just get some more information on him. But as you guys can see, everyone that we offered contracts to has accepted, except for Isaiah Oliver, which leaves our cornerback position a little bit more open. We don't really have a whole lot of cap left to go out and do some things with free agency. So we're going to have to now take a step back and really hit the draft hard on the positions that we really need to focus on. So there you guys go. That's our wide receiver room. You got Andrews right behind Isabella, Colin Johnson. There's Toney at a 78. Again, I don't have any doubts in my mind that Kadarius Toney's not going to work out. I feel like he is going to, just because of his dev trait and his ability, his speed. But just in case, Isabella's a nice little guy to just plop in there every once in a while and add to the offense a little bit. So cornerback, you got Stephon Gilmore. JoJo Carter's the number 2 guy at this point. I think he's ready to play. He was ready to play last year. He played a lot more, but I don't think he's going to be a number 2 cornerback. I think he's still in that 4th corner, maybe nickel corner. I think that's really where he's at right now. So we need to hit cornerback here in this draft and hope that we hit it big enough to where you get a guy that can be your true number 2. But Stephon Gilmore being able to lock one side of the island over there on one side of the field, lock that down, that's going to be big for our defense, especially losing as many good cornerbacks as we did in this free agent period. So you saw some mock draft updates here, guys. Now I've got the NFL Combine ready to go, plus their pro days, so we can kind of compare and contrast. You see a couple customs here: Shea Conrad, Rico Dynamite. You saw Skylar Bentley, another quarterback, Jet Armour, Cash Fortuna. A lot of quarterbacks here with our custom prospects, but for me, I don't really know why I looked at Sherrod Covington. We don't need another wide receiver, but I'm always fascinated with the size and speed combination. So that's just the way that I operate. But we need to focus on cornerback. And looking at this guy, Josh Barber, he's been mocked to us a couple times, and he looks like he's pretty solid at a 4.4. That's this kind of speed that I like for cornerbacks. If you're in the 4.5, 4.6 range, you're just too slow. I can't take it. So Lonnie Cooper actually looks like he's kind of an athlete here. He's at 4.47, but that's more towards the middle of the pack for cornerbacks in this draft class, so that kind of concerns me. But Derek Hickson, let's take a look at him. 4'5". I'm just, at that point, I'm just not even interested. I don't really even care what you do. You could be a B at zone coverage and a B at man. I don't care at that point. You're 4'5". You're hovering towards 4'6". It's not something I'm interested in. 4'8" here for Ben Thomas. He's a little bit of a grinder there with the broad jump and the other athletic tools, but man, he's a B across the board. I'd like to see that. Might be a late round consideration, like a round 2 type of guy. Now take a look at this guy, Georgius. Yeah, maybe the custom prospect creator of this guy. Maybe he meant to say Gregorius, like Didi Gregorius in the MLB. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you meant Georgius, but either way, man, he looks like he's going to be a solid draft pick at the linebacker spot. Santiago Torres, look at this tight end right here. This was a Darren Waller comparison. I think we got that right. So Santiago Torres looks like he's going to be a beast. Now we have Alejandro Reyes here, a guy that I'm watching. And take a look at the speed, guys. 4.29. Coming off the injury, this is the reason why he didn't want to do any work in the combine. He's a speedster. He is a speed demon. Now, the route running leaves a little bit of work, right? He's got to be focused on that. But I'm interested. Even if it's a project wide receiver, I think we can go after that late and get something figured out there for Reyes. But here's an update with the free agent offers, guys. You saw Joe Burrow is now a Baltimore Raven. Lead Letterman is going to play with his brother. Yeah, Daniel Letterman, the quarterback that was just drafted last season, now the wide receiver from the Chicago Bears. Lead Letterman going over to the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to be a tough team now. They made the playoffs last season with Daniel Letterman at quarterback, the rookie. That's going to be an interesting storyline to follow, is how those Letterman brothers get a connection going with quarterback and wide receiver. But the Joe Burrow thing is hilarious to me. He's now leaving the Bengals and going to the Ravens. That's tough for Cincinnati fans. Billy Price, of course, we lose him to free agency. He's going to go out and sign with the 49ers. And we saw a couple updates with Justin Sane, a wide receiver that played, I believe, for the Houston Texans. Ooh, I could be wrong about that one. This one actually hurts. Emilio Castillo, a 71 middle linebacker that we totally whiffed on. I didn't even look at this. I didn't even research, trying to deep dive at these free agents, man. We could have had a superstar middle linebacker for cheap. That's just neglect. That's just oversight right there, guys. But yeah, Justin Sane going to sign with the Indianapolis Colts, so good for him. A couple other stories as well. We saw Adoree Jackson signed with I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers. So all the best to him. Now, guys, take a look at the draft here. We got the Detroit Lions finishing in last place, so they have the number 1 overall pick. They took a cornerback. It's a Detroit Lions thing to do, man. You take a cornerback number 1 overall. This guy better be the next up-and-coming Charles Woodson or Patrick Peterson. You take a cornerback, you take a defensive back number 1 overall or in the top 5, he better be that. Or like a Sean Taylor. If he's not, then I don't know what you're doing. Edge rusher, O-lineman, quarterback, something like that, man. Something like that. Man, oh man. Defensive back, number 1 overall. You better be really damn good. Another interesting development here. Skylar Bentley going to be drafted out of Texas to Arizona. So Cliff Kingsbury was fired in this sim. And Kyler Murray, 17 touchdowns, 9 picks. You guys saw his stats there. So he really took a back seat as far as production goes. And maybe that's what spurred on the new head coach here to take another quarterback and ring in the new regime. So it's kind of funny, Kind of funny. Kyler Murray just not happy with Arizona in real life. And he's not happy here, apparently. 17 touchdowns and 9 picks. Just not a very good season last year for the Cardinals. You had Shea Conrad going to the New England Patriots. Rico Dynamite here going to the Chargers. So if you guys want to know where the custom prospects are, you want to kind of keep track of them, there is a link in the description as well as the pinned comment in the comment section. And I've listed out from year number 1, the Patreon submissions, the open submissions for year 1, year 2, and even this season. If you guys want to take a look on where your guys have gone. And through free agency, I gotta go in here and update the list in case you and your guys signed elsewhere. So I gotta do a little update there. But after this draft concludes, we're only from this point on. I wanted you guys to see all the round 1 custom prospects getting drafted here. There's only a few of them. But after this pick that we're gonna do here for the Giants, we're gonna show all the Giants picks. And then at the very end of the draft, once it concludes, I'll show you each and every team's draft as their roster goes, as their draft picks go. And from that point, that's going to be the end of the vid. So if you do want to go check out where your prospect landed, click on that Google Sheets, click on that Excel file, and you guys will be able to see that. Just make sure that you know that there's tabs at the bottom to go check out where your guy went to. In what year? Year 1, year 2, or year 3. So a couple guys up on the board here. We were looking at cornerbacks. It looked like Ben Thomas might have been a more of a round 2 type of grade. I ended up taking Devin Roundtree here in the first round, and I honestly felt like Ben Thomas would be available here. That's why I kind of passed on him. We need backup rushers. We've only got Reyes and Lawrence at this point on this team, so we needed another rusher here. We didn't address that in the free agent period. Now, with Ben Thomas not being available, I went after Marquez Glover. I'm not too impressed with this pick. He leaves a lot left to be desired as far as coverage goes, but he's a freak athletically. You guys saw the acceleration, the speed, so we can work with him on his technique as far as coverage goes, but I was really, really hoping for a cornerback to find one here that was going to be good enough to start and be that number 2 cornerback behind Stephon Gilmore and ahead of JoJo Carter. So it looks like JoJo's going to have to be taking on an increased role as our number 2 cornerback here. So we ended up taking Marquez Glover. We're going to take Alejandro Reyes, and look at the speed, acceleration, and agility, guys. 99s across the way. I love that. So you know what? We didn't necessarily need a wide receiver. I get it. We addressed it. We're so deep there. We got Isabella. But I think we can work with Reyes. I really do. Maybe even get him off of kickoff returns. You know, JoJo Carter and Sarek Martin have been splitting time there. Maybe we can get Reyes to be our kickoff return guy this season. Make sure he plays some downs. We can get that hidden dev available to us and see what he is, right? We're end up going to take Justin Enriquez, a center. And again, we need another backup center, a young guy that we can work with behind J.C. Treader. So really at this point, late in this draft, pick 32 in each round, we're really looking at depth guys, backup guys to our starters. You know, obviously I was really hoping that cornerback that we were going to draft, we could find that number 2 corner. That just wasn't going to happen. So I'm also going to go ahead and take this quarterback here, Chris Matthews. Again, you're probably thinking, Goldie, there are so many other needs. Why did you fall into the quarterback trap? I like being able to have some quarterbacks that can run a little bit and guys that I can like groom. And this guy's going to be a practice squad quarterback. I get it, but Lamar Jackson's going to be here for a long time. Might as well shore up the backup roles and have guys that are going to be here long term. And we can focus on those guys and never draft another quarterback for the next 7 years. That's my whole thought process here. So we ended up trading our round 6 away for future draft pick consideration. And there's our draft, man. So there's our draft. Reyes is a 72. Glover, again, is a 67. I think, again, with the athleticism there, we can work on his technique, and he'll be a good player for us. Roundtree was a 70 overall. That's not bad for where we were in the draft. You know, round 1, pick 32. He's going to be fine. He's got good speed, excels, good strength, tackles a 76. He's going to be a solid player for us, but still, he's still a bit of a project. Marquez is definitely a project here, considering all of his stats there, but the athleticism is what I really like. Enriquez is interesting. He's a 67. He doesn't look like he looks like he's going to be better than that 67. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's going to progress throughout his career, but I think he's going to play better than what we drafted him as, if that makes sense. We drafted him mid. I think he's going to be better than just mid. I think he's going to be a pretty solid player, guys. So, you know, all in all, for where we were in the draft, I think we did a pretty okay job. I don't think we did great. I think we could have done better, possibly, but they might be drawing straws at that point, because you get that late in the draft, it's always harder to draft future all-stars. You know what I mean? When you're that late in the draft. That's how the NFL works. How the Patriots did it, They just have a really good scouting department. It's just me over here, though. So guys, there is your draft. There's your video. You got 4 minutes left here till the end, and I'm just gonna not really talk this thing through. If you guys want to take a look at where your prospects went off to, you can take a look at that in the pinned comment and the description. So that Google Sheets is available to you guys to take a look at that and check that out. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. That's it. So I'll see you later on this week for more Giants gameplay and more Giants action. To kind of give you an update on where this series is going to go and how it's going to run, we are actually going to do a lot more simulation during the regular season. I've heard it said before. I've heard people complain, and now I'm starting to get it. I win too often with this football team. So as a way to counter that, I'm going to start simming it more, and in gameplay, especially in the playoffs, we're going to do a lot harder sliders. And I think what this series has now become is basically like a playoff challenge type of series. How far can we advance in the playoffs, or how are we going to be able to compete in the playoffs when the sliders are basically really difficult? You know what I mean? So I got to really, really earn it from this point. I think that'll be pretty fun. Be a nice way to kind of cap off the series, rather than just winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley on your roster, right? So we're going to do a lot more simming in the season. We'll start playing all of our playoff games with harder slider sets, and we should be, I'm hoping to get this thing to like year 7, maybe year 8. We're headed into year 4 at this point. If I can get to like year 6, I'd be okay. Year 7 is really what I want to get to. Stretch goal would be like year 8 if I can get it that far. I'm looking to probably end this series in the middle of March, so we really got maybe 3 more weeks left of Giants action. So the more that we can simulate, the better for this thing, and we can kind of clear this thing out, hit the reset button on another series, and hopefully that one hits, whereas this one didn't really hit. But I had fun with it, and that's what counts. So guys, I'll leave you with the draft recap screen. And again, if you want to check out where your guys went off to, you can click on that Google Sheets below in the pinned comment or the description, or you can even comment below and I will let you guys know where your dude went off to. I still need to update. If you have a prospect existing in this series that, wasn't in this draft class, but he's in the series, if you want to know where your guy went off to or how he did, post in the comments and I'll respond back with his career statistics and things like that, how he did during the season last year. I'll give you that information for you. So I'm here for you. Hopefully guys are here for this content, because I'm here for you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like if you like this thing. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.